Alright guys, this is going to be part one of how to do a redneck wood grain job with paint on your interior trim panels. I have to do this because some of my panels were in pretty bad shape. The instrument cluster, it had a lot of the brown wood grain paint stuff was just flaking off. So I used my little portable sandblaster and blasted a lot of it off. And then I went through and kind of edged everything out with some sandpaper and some red Scotch-Brite. So it's good enough. Now these have some black plastic inserts here. It'll stick on inserts. It has one here, here, and here. I have some gray brushed aluminum looking vinyl that I'm going to put on, and I'll cut it out with an X-Acto knife. So this will have brushed aluminum inserts in the new wood grain I'm going to do. So my radio, I do not have a radio for this car. The only thing I have here is a Sony N-CD player, and the cool part about it is it has a silver face. The gauges in the dash of this car are brushed aluminum, so I think it kind of matches. I have about 5 of these radio plates that are not cut. You know, these cars originally had the old two-knob style, so I took the one that had the worst, that was actually in the worst shape, and I cut it up. So I got my pull strap covers out here. The wood grain is just gone off of these things. And then I have the dash panel there. I don't know why this is here, but anyway, my console plate, this is just a stick-on thin plastic, and the corners here, all 4 corners were cracked. So I went in there on eBay and I was looking at, I know they made this reproduction for a Grand National, which is brushed aluminum, so I thought I'll buy that, you know, and then I'll do my wood grain technique on it. It was like $50 for those 3 pieces, so I was like, heck with that. I have one of these gear indicators for an overdrive already, brand new in the package. I just got to find it. I bought it for my Grand National, last Grand National I had, and I never did put it on, so I know it's here somewhere. Anyway, so I'll put a new indicator on it, but I'm going to have to spend about an hour cleaning all that stupid glue off of there. It's nasty stuff. But instead of spending $50 on a new applique or applique kit, whatever the hell that's called, I got some hot rolled steel here. I have a sheet, and I'm not sure what gauge that is. It's pretty thick actually, but I did a cut-off wheel on an electric grinder and a jigsaw with a metal cutting blade to get the very corner edges, and it turned out pretty dang nice. It fits perfectly in there, and it's kind of funny because this looks like a Grand National insert. That's about the color of a factory Grand National, but that is actually hot rolled steel. And I've got all 3 pieces cut to fit that console, all out of steel. So I'll just, when I do my wood graining technique, I'll do it to this, and I'll just glue it on there. So this will end up looking like $1,000,000 and no money spent. Okay, so we'll get to the wood graining here. Now this is what I do. You can do it however you want. This is just how I do it. I use Sim. This is the interior trim paint, vinyl dye, if that's what you want to call it. And this is light oak. I spray all the pieces. I do 2 full heavy coats on it. I do 1 coat, I'll let it set about 15 minutes, I go back and do another one. This stuff dries pretty quick. Then, after about an hour, I go back with Rust-Oleum brush on enamel, and I take a paintbrush, house paintbrush, and I just kind of dip it in there and just kind of haphazardly kind of brush kind of at an angle direction on it. And you don't have to do a thorough coating on it. And then I take like a plastic sack, not this one because it's dusty, but I take one of these and I wad it up, and immediately when I set the brush down, I'll go through and I'll blot all that. And what it does is basically it's almost like a marbleizing technique that guys use when they marbleize stuff. But when you're done, you get the appearance of a factory wood grain. Very, very quick, cheap, and easy to do. So after that dries, that stuff takes a while to dry because it's a Rust-Oleum product. That stuff seems to always take a long time to dry. So I'll usually wait until the next day, and I'll go in with High Solids Automotive Clear out of a spray gun, and I'll put on a couple of heavy coats on all the pieces just to kind of bury it all. And you know, High Solids is pretty thick stuff, so if it can lay down nice and flat, you're good to go. But in the case of my salon, it didn't lay down that great, so I had to end up going back and color sand and buffing it. But I basically just color sanded the high areas of the panels. But it turned out fantastic. I had a lot of good compliments on that. And when you first looked at it, it looked like a factory piece, but it was custom painted. And the one thing I'm going to try different on this round, My very first coat of clear, I'm going to mix in a little bit of maroon candy paint in the clear, because I'm going to try to go for a mahogany look. If I remember, I'm not a wood expert, but I think mahogany has a maroon or red look to it. So I'm going to put that in the first coat of clear, and then I'll put 2 more coats of clear on, just plain clear. That way I can color sand and buff if I have to. But I'm hoping I can get it to lay down good enough that I don't have to color sand and buff, because that's just less work, you know. And I may go ahead and just put them in the car, even if they're rough texture looking. I might go ahead and just stick them in there and call it a day anyway. But anyway, so this is going to be part 1. I'm not sure what I'm going to do part 2, which I'll show, you know, the wood grain part of it. I'm not sure when I'm going to do it, because we've got some cold weather coming starting tomorrow. So it's probably going to be the weekend before I get back to this. But anyway, this is part 1 of how to do a redneck wood grain, and also how you can make a custom console insert set out of steel instead of spending $50 on plastic. But I guess if you got to have one that matches your existing stuff, you're going to have to buy it. But I am a poor boy, so I have poor ways. And if I'm going to paint it anyway, I might as well make it, right?